Welcome to Truth Be Told. I'm Dean Ryan, filling in for Tony Sweet today, who's off on assignment, but who might be joining us at the break. That's Tony's body double. We went through this in rehearsal. Clearly, you didn't pay attention. Anyways, we have a very special show today. We have Max Egan of Australia, who's going to be joining us for the news portion, and we're going to get to what he's up to at the break. And we have another special gentleman today, Benny Wills, comedian, actor from Joy Camp. But first, I want to bring up newsman Blake Wally. Blake, there's been a lot of things going on this weekend, and I got to be honest with you, I stopped paying attention. I'm losing the focus, the will, the drive to stay in America at this point. But and Max, we're going to bring you guys in, Max and Benny, on the news portion. I know you guys are big junkies with news, that is. So let's get to it.
Sure. Well, it was a delightful Easter weekend, and I know we've all,
It was delightful.
Nice.
Yeah. I think I gained like 15 pounds.
I think you ate about 5 pounds of ham. Maybe.
Okay.
I
All
was a
right. Well,
witness.
maybe I did.
Maybe 4.
Maybe I did.
Okay.
All right.
It was
All right.
good.
All right. What happened? So there was Easter. This is news to me.
It was Holy Saturday.
Holy Saturday.
What was the other one? Good Friday.
Good Friday.
Yeah.
All
Good
right.
times. And we did avoid World War III so far.
So far.
So,
all right.
Yeah, there's some tensions building in North Korea. We're almost seeing Syria kind of vacate the news cycle, at least for now. Although I do have a little bit about that. But, of course, everybody's trying to figure out what's going on with North Korea. Testing a missile. And now apparently we'll be testing missiles weekly. This is a senior official telling the BBC, this is out of BBC.com, North Korea will continue to test missiles, according to a senior official in Pyongyang, despite international condemnation and growing military tensions with the United States.
Here's my question, and Benny, I want to bring you in here. I know you're a North Korean specialist. If North Korea is nuked, which we all hope none of that happens, does it become New Korea after that? You know, like there's New Mexico and then New England.
Korea.
No, like New Korea, like the Americans making a New Korea, if that's what they're planning. Or does Seoul, South Korea, take it over, and then it's just one Korea altogether?
That seems more likely, that it would just be called Korea, but I really doubt any nuclear bombs are going to be dropped on North Korea.
I doubt it too. And Max, I mean, let's be honest. Seoul, Korea, South Korea is performing a lot of military exercises daily around the peninsula of North. Because who do they have backing them? Us.
Well, exactly.
I mean, come on. What? I don't understand.
I think the United States condemning anyone for missile tests is a little bit like the pot calling the kettle black, isn't it? I mean, come on, really.
You're right. It's a bit hypocritical.
The United States has no right to condemn anybody for doing anything.
They have
frankly.
they have a bad sense of humor.
They have a bad sense of
all
humor.
right.
They have a bad track record.
Yeah, they do. All right, Blake, you heard the answer. Don't ever. All right.
Sorry.
Don't put that propaganda on this show.
My apologies. So here is a quote from the Vice Foreign Minister from North Korea, Han Song-ryol.
What's that name again?
Han Song. It doesn't sound like Han Solo. Han Sung-ryol told the BBC's John Sudworth, he says, we'll be conducting more missile tests on a weekly, monthly, and yearly basis. Said that an all-out war would result if the U.S. took military action. And, of course, earlier U.S. Vice President Mike Pence warned North Korea not to test the United States.
Well, when Mike Pence speaks, Koreans listen, don't they? I mean, that's kind of the unknown rule.
It's funny you say that because there's an article that he was staring down. Too bad we can't get this picture up. Maybe I can.
Can you reenact?
I can
reenact reenact the stare.
Okay, maybe not quite. But,
or we just lost viewers.
I'm gonna
because of that.
probably. Let me see if I can. Maybe. Okay. If
Yeah,
you have
let-
really good if you get good resolution.
You know,
yeah.
never do that again on
Nope,
the show.
no bumping the.
You're
All right,
really,
I'm trying.
Really taking it down. Okay, so what
Okay,
happened? Mike
That's
Pence,
one cold stare. The vice president wasn't supposed to go outside, but he told his security detail it was something he wanted to see, is to see this the DMZ and to see the opposition soldiers and give him a good stare down. Think he got the message across?
You know, what if Mike
Maybe.
Pence is like really like George Bush Sr. and then that's like the scenario they're doing. I kind of feel like it's the early '80s again.
Could be.
All right.
I don't know.
Okay.
At this point,
Anybody?
I don't know what to believe
All right.
anymore. But I'm gonna say no. But I like the idea. That
All
would be
right.
cool.
Okay.
All right. So where did I leave off? I went to a second article. So he said this is Mike Pence here. Said his country's era of strategic patience with North Korea was over. Mr. Pence arrived in Seoul on Sunday, hours after North Korea carried out a failed missile launch.
Here's my question, Benny. Again, you've been
Our
follower
expert on North
of
Korea.
North Korea, an
Expert, yeah.
specialist
Oh, yeah.
for many years now. How come that it's so easy for Dennis Rodman to talk to the North Koreans, but it's impossible for Mike Pence to do so? I mean, in your expertise and what you've seen over the years, why is that?
Well, maybe because Dennis Rodman showed some class when he reached out to North Korea and was a decent person and didn't threaten them with bombs.
Well, his nickname is the Worm, so
he wormed his way in.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
He
All right.
slithered in there.
Blake.
Yeah, well, I know Kim Jong Un is a huge basketball fan, so too bad.
All right,
Mike,
okay.
Mr. Pence is
All right, no.
not a basketball player, to my knowledge. Maybe I don't. Who
Okay,
knows?
You probably don't know.
No, I don't. I really don't. I'm just. Yeah.
Next story.
Okay. Next story. How about. Speaking of Syria, we have a former Pentagon staffer who says, quote, the Syria gas attack was staged. So, a former Pentagon scientist claims to have proof that the recent gas attack in Syria was staged, saying that Syrian President Bashar al-Assad cannot have been responsible based on the facts uncovered.
That's incredible. I mean, Max, what about the kids? Is that why would a government do that? I mean, that's so. And then the Pentagon scientist Bill Nye, is that who it is? Bill Nye.
Yeah, the science guy Bill Nye. Yes, the
No,
leading
and
expert. Right.
is this something
Look,
governments would do? I mean,
It's absurd to even consider the possibility that Assad would do this on the eve of peace talks. The United States government had just said that regime change was off the table. They were going to allow them to have a democratic vote. ISIS is being dispelled from the country. Everything's going really good for Assad at the moment. So he's going to do the one thing, cross the one red line, which is going to cause the United States to attack. I mean, come on, it's a joke. There's no way to do this.
and this is on the heels of today. I'm sure you guys heard that apparently he's a doctor, Dr. Assad. President won re-election today, 88% to 12%. So he seems to be very popular, Max. And
Well, that's the thing.
for a guy that gasses his own people, apparently he gassed them to enough to vote for him.
Well, what people have to
Allegedly.
understand is that there is no civil war in Syria. There has never been a civil war in Syria. What's going on in Syria is a covert invasion that is being funded by Western influences. That's what it is. ISIS is a mercenary force that is funded by the West.
Sure.
It's as simple as that.
Let me bring in our democratic socialist, Benny Wills, to this. Benny, your hero, Bernie Sanders, Mr. Anti-War, and the person you worship every morning,
Yep.
too, Newsman.
Every day.
Bernie Sanders is now calling, this is news to me, calling for regime change in Syria. And let me give a quote here. Quote, Bernie says, and I won't do the impersonation, but he says, we've got to work with countries around the world for a political solution to get rid of Assad, to finally bring peace and stability to this country that has been so decimated. Benny, why would the anti-war candidate that many young people voted for?
Wow. Well, first of all, I don't know who sent you my bio, but I have to have a talk with that person.
Blake Wally,
Democratic
My bad.
Socialist.
typo.
I just
Seem to be
assumed
wearing a
everybody
lot of
liked
hats today. But
Yeah,
It's-
wow.
it's
I
the
didn't know I
shirt,
had so
it's
many
the shirt,
names
it's the
applied
shirt.
to me. Yeah, Bernie Sanders is a tool. That's my opinion on Bernie Sanders. He was really just in the election to garner support for, Hillary Clinton, but the state in general. I mean, he got the alternative liberal vote, and then he gave all of his support and money to Hillary Clinton. He's just another cog in the system. He's not really on our side. There's my
got a pretty
democratic
nice- yeah.
socialist point of view on Bernie Sanders. He's no solution to
You
anything.
got a
I
nice house.
I don't
out
care
there.
what he says.
Benny, Democratic Socialists watching this right now are weeping.
Well,
Oh,
sorry.
look who came back. Tony Sweet. We were just not talking about you. But Max, in all seriousness, isn't it just another example of there's just no electoral solution, or there wasn't at least in 2016?
There isn't. They're all compromised. All the candidates are compromised. The same agendas going forward. Nothing's changed with Trump,
Sure.
and nothing would have changed with any of the candidates.
And we'll get into that too with compromising. And Tony Sweet, in case you joined us late, Blake is reading the next incredible
good.
news story about World War III.
And I brought pizza, so we're good. All right.
Oh, excellent.
Continue.
All right. Well, this is
Very cryptic.
a story about an insider from the Pentagon, a scientist, Theodore Postol, professor emeritus at MIT and former Pentagon scientist, issued a series of 3 detailed reports in response to the White House's claim that Assad perpetrated the attack. And according to Postol, the Trump administration has failed to provide any concrete evidence that Assad is responsible, and claims that the attack was very likely perpetrated by rebels on the ground.
Tony, you've been on the grounds of Syria. Is that
Just got
something?
back.
Yeah.
Yes. In the trenches.
Easter
yes.
weekend.
Yeah.
Now,
I
you,
flew over there for the weekend.
I was around in 2003, and they said that Saddam was gassing his own people. We need boots on the ground. I was around in 2011. Hillary Clinton said that Gaddafi was gassing his own people. We need boots on the ground. You think that's going to happen this time? Is this Iraq 3.0?
I honestly believe and agree with Max here that all politicians are the same. I don't care red, white, or blue. I really believe that it's going to continue. They're going to keep blaming it on any regime to get us into a war. I really do. I believe that.
All right. Well, there you go.
But do you really believe, do you think Trump started out as an outsider? Because I think it was supposed to be the Hillary versus Jeb Bush. That way it was cornered. Maybe Marco Rubio. But do you think Trump was just in there from the beginning as a possible alternative that was compromised from the very beginning?
I do,
Max?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. Now looking at his actions now, I do. Looking at it leading up to the election, I tried to give him every possibility because, let's face it, he was a wild card. He's a billionaire who could actually do the right thing. He was in a position to do it. But I said it'll reveal itself very quickly, and after 1 week, you could tell that it was not what we wanted it to be, and it's just gotten steadily worse. So yeah, I think he was a player right from the beginning.
Yeah, I could see that. Is taking a major downturn this last couple of weeks. So I don't know what to believe anymore.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Some-
But
Something I really noticed I'd like to throw in there as well is the fact that he mentioned Pizzagate in October 2016. You know, the fact that he mentioned that term before it was ever coined in an interview. I've been going back before
Was it-
between Wienergate
Was
and
it
Pizzagate.
was it 2015?
I think it was
No, it was
2000.
2016.
Okay.
October 2016. That's before the term was coined.
Okay.
So that means that the Pizzagate was already in play. That was just a slip of the tongue. It was already in play. That release was planned. All those emails, it was planned. The vilification of Hillary Clinton at the right time to give legitimacy to the Trump presidency and the Trump election, have the whole alternate media swing behind him, was all planned.
And
with
it
that.
doesn't mean that it actually Pizzagate is not a real thing.
Oh no,
It-
Pizzagate's a real thing.
it's
I
a
mean,
real th- it's
this
just-
child trafficking
sure.
is a real thing.
Right,
But the
and-
focus on the pizza store and the actual term Pizzagate wasn't coined
Gotcha.
that we know of in October 2016, yet Trump used it in an interview.
he said it on the Piers Morgan show, and I think it was even earlier than that. It was kind of freaky. I'm gonna have to double check that.
It was Piers
yeah,
Morgan show. It
yeah.
might have been earlier than October, but it was
Yeah, it's
2016.
like he's a time
Right, it was
traveler or
earlier.
something.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
yeah.
Let's get past Syria, please.
Okay. Very good.
I feel like jumping off a building.
All right. So let's. How about we go to Cleveland?
Let's do that.
Why not?
Something happy and chirpy. Tell me, how's Cleveland?
It's definitely
always
not
sunny.
happy and chirpy.
All right.
Yeah, it's
How high is that building?
nice and gray and
Tony, I
cold.
thought you had to
and
be
bright.
somewhere. All right. I'm sorry, Cleveland.
All right, beautiful Cleveland. We have new clues emerging on the Facebook killer's whereabouts. So
Oh, that's
apparently somebody did a Facebook Live and supposedly went on a big murderous rampage, although we've only found one victim so far.
What is the person's name?
This would be
By the
Steve
way,
Stevens.
Steve Stevens.
Yes.
I don't know if you guys saw this, Tony, and it's basically this guy, and you can watch the video. It's been taken down off Facebook. He pulls up to an elderly man who's like in his late 70s, and he says something to him, and then he pulls out a gun and just shoots him point blank in the head, just for no reason. It's the weirdest thing. And this is how I can tell it was an actual legitimate thing, because the relatives of the man that was killed, they were on the news crying. And get this, Benny. They were not talking about anti-gun legislation immediately. So you could
That's
tell.
how you know.
You could tell right there. There was some validity of what actually just took place, because I can only imagine that happened to my relative. I would be just bawling my eyes out, not, standing next to Chuck Schumer, trying with the flag and saying, let's get these guns.
Do you think this, on my show last Friday, we talked about mind control. Do you think this might be one of those mind control situations? Because who would just pull up and just shoot a random person?
Well,
unless it's a gang. A gang thing, but I don't think that was proven.
It could be he just flipped the switch. Who knows?
Yeah, he said he just snapped.
So is that what are the reports telling us?
Well, this is the latest. The hunt for the Facebook gunman. Cops chased Cleveland Facebook killer Steve Stevens and offer I believe it's about a $50,000 reward, as they admit hunt is nationwide, as they have no idea where he is. And of course, my internet has
When we were,
frozen.
y-
But
I could have swore I saw I saw some of these people. They just look like they're going to pull up to you and just start shooting you somewhere here in Hollywood. I get that feeling every time I come here. You just feel the vibration of people about to snap, because people are pissed off. They can't afford anything. Food stamps are running out. Not saying that this is the case, but I don't know. I feel
people on edge.
yeah,
right?
people are on edge in this country.
Yeah, this could be one of them. So officers are now searching Fairmount Park in Philadelphia after receiving a number of reports Stevens was in the area. 5 U.S. states are now in lockdown as cops search for the killer who claimed he had slaughtered 14 others and vowed he would, quote, not stop killing until he was caught.
Wonderful. That's the bright story that I wanted from Cleveland. You were just on the ball
Glad I
today.
could deliver that
Yes.
for you.
All right.
All right, happy Easter. All right.
This
I
is-
would move on, but
Well, this is what we have
apparently
to.
my Chrome is not.
Well, apparently
cooperating.
this
Yeah.
everything's falling apart on this show. Tony's missing. The internet's not working.
No, I'm here.
And you're not on screen somewhere. Oh, he's somewhere.
It's okay.
Well, let me ask you. Let me bring Max into this. Max, do random shootings? You're from Australia. Full disclosure. Do random shootings? He's not from Torrance. I'll tell you. Does this happen often in Australia? Do you just random people
They
just
confiscated all our guns, so it's not really possible. We don't have too many random shootings.
or
unless-
violent crime?
Unless the government needs random shootings for some reason, then we'll have them right on cue. Of course, there's a bit of violent crime, beatings and stabbings and stuff occasionally, but nothing that you see on the level of what you get here.
right.
Yeah, unless it comes from the police, of course. There's a fair bit of that, but Victorian police in especial, they seem to kill a lot of people.
Sure.
But that's where most of the random shootings would appear to come from in Australia.
Right. Newsman, you're down.
Yeah,
Okay, let's do
sure.
this.
Why not?
Are you down?
Should we? Yeah.
Oh, here, let's do this. We're gonna do a break real quick and settle everything. But before we get that, we're gonna come back from this break and really get into what Max Egan is up to. But before we do that, Benny, let's do like a minute or two about what you're all about. Joy Camp. If people
Sure.
don't know what that is, it's a comedy group that really tackles a lot of liberty-minded issues, activist issues. So tell us about that and where they can find you.
Sure, yeah. Joy Camp is a YouTube channel, and we shed light on the darkness. We call it conscious comedy. I started with my good friend Kevin. We've been doing it for about 5 years now. And yeah, we really try to make light of really dark things, essentially. And we try to propose ideas to people in a way that's inoffensive and accessible, so that we're not preachy. We leave it up to the viewer to decide how they feel. You can tell where we stand,
Right.
but we're not telling you how to think.
Right.
So ideally, a person would see the video, and if they don't know about the particular subject, they would look it up and come up with their own conclusions about it. And you can find us on YouTube just by typing in the word Joy Camp, one word Joy Camp. It'll be the first thing that comes up. We have a lot of videos at this point, about 80 or 90, I think. And the word Joy Camp comes from 1984. In 1984, Joy Camps are forced labor camps.
Okay. All right. And I've seen some of your stuff before. Some friends of mine have been in there and some really good stuff. So I want to thank you for coming on the show and joining us for
Thanks for having me.
the Almost News segment.
Democratic Socialist Benny Wells from Joy Camp.
Progressive communist Benny
Yeah.
Wells, thank you for joining us. But no, really, he's an independent, libertarian-based, all-around good dude. So thank you for coming on. And we're going to take a quick break here on Truth Be Told and fire all of our staff and just get a new system. And this is, thank you, Blake, for your last day on Truth Be Told.
It's great to be
And
here.
anyways, and we'll be right back after these short messages.
Do you suffer from anxiety, from depression, maybe even chronic pain? Well, listen up. Truth Be Told is going to tell you about a breakthrough program built on over 100 years of therapies used in America's returning veterans to help you successfully overcome PTSD, anxiety attacks, pain, and depression. The secret proven in study after study. Music therapy. The effects of music are nothing short of amazing. From strokes to PTSD, music has been shown to improve the quality of life. Now, one of the latest music therapy programs being used in America's veteran hospitals can be yours to experience for free, at home, and to help your own anxiety attacks, pain, and depression. Or just relax after a hard day. It's called Whole Tones. It takes music therapy to a new level. This revolutionary program makes use of specifically designed frequencies that have been shown to stimulate your body's natural healing power down to a cellular level. If it works for battle-scarred vets, can it work for you? Well, experience it for yourself for free at sweetwholetones.com. Like Tony Sweet, that's SWEET. Go to sweetwholetones.com. Now enjoy the show. All right, welcome back to Truth Be Told. We're a Monday edition. We're here with Dean Ryan. We have Blake Wally, the amazing, legendary Max Igan. How you doing? And I'm Tony Sweet, and we want to welcome you to the second half. We had a little testicle issues,
You're
whatever you want to say.
You're joking.
So we want to go ahead. Did the internet ever come back up?
It seems to be functioning so
convenient.
far.
Oh,
We'll see
convenient.
if it continues.
Was
to be
it like
nice.
bombing or something? Is that why we? Oh, my
No, it just says not
internet
responding.
Oh, okay.
It does that. Yeah.
Maybe you were bombing and Tony cut the internet.
Maybe.
Yeah, probably.
And we want to welcome Tony back.
Oh,
he
thank
had a
you.
long
Thank
restroom
you.
break. So
Yes, I
that's
did.
why you never eat
Hey.
before the show.
Yeah, don't ever do.
All right.
Okay.
Anyways, you want to introduce Mr. Egan?
Yes, please, Max Egan. Thank you so much for being here. I'm looking around the camera so I can see you, but it's always an honor to have you on the show, and I know you have some interesting stuff to tell us. So, Dean,
Sure. Well, Max is a radio host. He's an author. He's a peace advocate. He's a great researcher. He's a filmmaker. He's a friend. He can be a foe to some that don't like the truth. He's Australian. He's now one of us, American Today. So, Max, it's an honor to have you here.
Oh, wow! I didn't know that was going to happen.
Yeah, thank you, Will.
It's an honor to have you here.
Thank you for the intro. Thanks for inviting me on. It's nice to come into the studio and talk to you in person. Nice to actually meet you all and not just be talking over Skype. So
Right.
it's good.
Yeah. Last time it was a disaster on Skype in the jungle.
Amazonian internet.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and I can't even complain because I'm in the Amazon. What are you going to do? Complain about
Yeah.
the fact that the net's dropping out?
Right?
Yeah.
Who you going to call?
Yeah, who are you going to call? And the fact that you've even got the internet in the Amazon is
Right.
pretty amazing. So.
Right, you and I were walking outside on Sunset Boulevard, and you were telling me something that to be in LA, where you can actually see the setting of culture around the world begins here in LA, and not all of that culture is good, and there's some deviancy that comes from this town, and I tend to agree with you on that.
Well, there is, and it's really interesting the way LA is presented to the world, because even some of the pop songs and the counterculture that you've seen over the years, these romantic songs, roads to Pasadena and stuff like this. When you come from overseas, somewhere like Australia or Europe, and you've never been to LA, you envisage this little sort of horse trail out to this little dusty town on the way to Mexico or something. It's just a suburb of LA,
Right.
So they've kind of created this situation where LA is like its own little world that has gone out over the rest of the world and kind of superimposed itself over the rest of the world. And it seems like this whole ecosystem of its own, But it's just this LA mindset, and you can really see where so much of the programming comes from this town.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing. You can feel it when you come here. You can
Right.
just see it and you can feel it. And even the version of the United States that most people get, even whether you're talking about the Grand Canyon or Texas or New York or anything, it's still the LA version of that, because it all comes from Hollywood. So, and you can feel it, you can see it. It's really interesting what this town has done. It's kind of
Totally.
infected the rest of the world in a way, if you want to put it that way. And it's interesting that it's called Los Angeles, the city of Lost Angels, how they've created that loss of divinity and just spread it out to everybody.
Right. It is an infection in this town. I totally know many people. But
It's nothing against LA and
No,
against the
not at
people,
all.
but when you see the mind control and how it's
Right.
done, stepping in from the outside, it's almost surreal.
it's
It's a
surrounded
big
by the occult.
illusion too.
Yeah, it's
I
the
mean,
occult.
I always said people that come here, their feet never really touch the ground because they don't really have a grasp of reality. Because most people they have this vision of what it's supposed to be like, what my career is supposed to be like, what my future is supposed to be like, and that's why so many people. It's transit. I mean, people come and go like flies here. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. You can see it, and you can just see how all there's film studios everywhere in town here, and how it's just all spread itself out. It's quite
Right.
amazing.
Well, Tony, let's just get right into this, because you've mentioned this for a long time, but Mr. Max Egan was on this show pre-election in 2016 in the summer, and he was one of the first, and you took a lot of heat for this, and you came on here and you made the statement that Trump is a shill for Hillary Clinton, and you talk about a statement that was resonated through on this show, is that interview in particular, and we come to find now here in 2017 that the Trump factor seems to be backburning and going on against a lot of the promises he's been saying. So, Tony, and you've been saying that as well.
I said it from like this probably as long as you have. I
Yeah.
totally believe that.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, Trump had.
So
an
what's going on
opportunity.
here? So
He had an opportunity to do the right thing, but the same agenda's going forward. Trump is Hillary Clinton. And in fact, Trump's doing things a lot faster than Hillary Clinton could possibly have done,
I believe
because he wouldn't have had the backing of the independent media behind him. He would never have been able to get to this position so quickly. Hillary Clinton couldn't have done this so quickly. She couldn't be posturing against Iran and bombing Syria and posturing against Russia and North Korea all at the same time this quickly. And he's managed to go and bomb Syria, which is, I mean, even if the gas attack was real, which it wasn't, but even if Assad staged this, he sent missiles into a sovereign nation without any investigation at all. That's a war crime. That's an act of aggression. He's managed to commit a war crime within 77 days of office, and he's escalated to the point that now people are on the fear that we're on the brink of World War III. You know? I mean, so quickly he's been able to do this, and he's backpedaled on everything. And his Easter message, did anybody, you guys see his Easter message? This Easter message he put out on Easter Sunday.
They're supposed
The
to be
first 90 seconds, he's sitting there with an Israeli tie on, and the first 90 seconds was about Passover and how wonderful the Jewish people are. This is his Easter message to the people of the United States. I mean, is this the United States of America or the United States of Israel? Which government is
That's
this
a
man
good question.
supporting?
right.
Why is that the Easter message to the American people? If you really want to say something about Passover, hey, put it second. Aren't you the president of the United States? Aren't you supposed to be talking to your people? What's going on here, folks? It was the most Orwellian speech I've ever seen. This guy is just falling over himself to escalate the conflict and to escalate the Greater Israel Project, to escalate the war of terror. That's what he's doing. You know, and that should be plain for anybody to see. I can't believe how many of the independent media are still supporting him. I just can't believe it. I think it's going to end up bringing down a lot of the independent media, a lot of the people that have got behind him
But-
for so long.
But don't you think, though, a lot of independent media got a lot of exposure because of him? That's why they supported him.
That's why they supported him. But they're seeing now that they've been fooled.
Yeah.
They really have been fooled. This man is pushing the agenda forth in leaps and bounds. He really is, faster than Clinton. could
Right.
ever
Yeah.
have done.
Right. And Blake,
I'm gonna say that, but it's good news that people are falling away. Unlike what usually happens is that people get in the cult mentality of the party, and it doesn't matter what they say or do; they'll always get their backing. So now it's going to present something totally new. That
and
we
and
haven't
it's also going to unmask the Benedict Arnolds in the alternative media, and I won't name names, but I think it highlights who the ones that misled the alternative media.
Well, yeah, the problem is a lot of people lost their way. I mean, you've seen even there's been elements within the independent media that are even saying that this missile strike against Syria was okay. It was some sort of 4D chess move he was making to get the
I'm
Democrats off
slightly
his
guilty of
back
that.
and to get the other governments off his back and all this sort of stuff. They've forgotten the one simple fact that the war on terror is fake. It's built on a lie from the ground up. Dropping one bomb on any country to support the war on terror is the act of a lie. It's as simple as that. ISIS is a Western-funded mercenary force. The war on terror is fake. 9/11 was staged. The whole thing is built on a lie.
Right.
So why aren't we addressing that? There is no justification for escalating any conflict anywhere. If you want to stop the war of terror, you need to go back and investigate 9/11. You need to look at what DynCorp and the Clinton Foundation have done in Syria, in Libya, in Kosovo, and in Haiti. You need to freeze the assets of these organizations and use this money to rebuild these countries in the Middle East. That would be the start of an honest president. That would be a good move. Why aren't we seeing any of that? Why is Hillary Clinton not in jail?
Tony, why is Hillary not in jail?
I plead the fifth.
But with going back to Trump, let me say something that it's on the audience's mind right now. I believe that with all the talk of Pizzagate, nobody's Chuck Schumer allegedly and the Clintons. No one's in jail. Is Donald Trump sexually compromised? Is he a part of this?
Well, I think just about everybody is sexually compromised in positions of power in this country and in other countries around the world. Unfortunately, that's the way it's done. You'll find that, like with this whole pedophile thing, Pizzagate and all this stuff, there's been like 3,000 pedophiles arrested since Trump came to office, and everyone's been rallying behind this, saying, oh, look, there's action being taken. These are none of the big players. These are just small-level players.
Right.
So this is just to appease the Pizzagate people. But the real pedophilia is being run through these war zones. It's being run by companies such as DynCorp, who got busted human trafficking back in the first Gulf War and was mentioned in office by Cynthia McKinney, who
Right.
put it on Donald Rumsfeld and said, what's going on with DynCorp? They've just been caught human trafficking. Why are they still receiving contracts? And they're still receiving contracts now. Not only that, but the ex-CEO of DynCorp is one of Trump's advisors. So all this is still going on.
Well-
It's all going on, but they're all compromised is the problem.
Right, and you mentioned Cynthia McKinney, and she brought up another thing that I know you talk about. It's very passionate to you. Is when a member of Congress enters the actual House of Congress, they have to make a pledge to what is it, AIPAC in Israel?
They have to sign the AIPAC treaty. So the AIPAC treaty basically pledges allegiance to Israel, and if you don't sign the AIPAC treaty, you won't get funding. You'll never make office. You'll just get thrown away. You'll never get anywhere if you don't sign the AIPAC treaty. So basically, you've got every politician in this country pledging allegiance and signing a treaty to support a foreign power in order to run for office in this country.
You think that's something they're aware of,
Of
or they're not even reading these pledges when they're just
They must be aware of
a
it.
robo signer maybe?
They must be aware of it.
Seems
It's
so
probably
bizarre.
unless they question it, they're probably not aware that they won't get funding unless they sign. They probably
Okay.
think, "Oh, I'm just doing the right thing by signing and supporting Israel." But the way McKinney was, they kept saying, "Are you going to sign? Are you going to sign? You must sign." And when she was going, "Well, hang on," she actually read it and said, "What is this I'm signing? This seems to be pledging allegiance to another country," and she didn't want to sign it. And she got basically, I mean, where's she now?
Right.
They basically destroyed her whole political career because she wouldn't capitulate. So, and that's a really important thing. You've got every politician in this country pledging allegiance to a foreign power in order to run for office here. And you're wondering why this country is having such a hard time financially, why there's so many homeless people, why there's $7 million, or it might be $11 million a day going to Israel now. This is being milked from all of the populace of this country, just being sent straight over there so they continue their genocide of the Palestinian people and continue their thieving of the Golan Heights and all the stuff they're doing. I mean, it's disgraceful. the support that this country gives to Israel when Israel is carrying out war crimes and genocide, provable by the Geneva Convention, provable by the fact that Gaza Strip even exists. The Gaza Strip is, with an average age of 17, 1.8 million people, average age 17, locked in a situation of collective punishment. It's not even the world's biggest prison, because in a prison you get food, you get water, you get bedding. It's not even that. It's a concentration camp. It's a breach of Article 33 of the Fourth Geneva Convention, which is being supported by every politician who signed the AIPAC pledge. So if you've got problems in this community from legislation these politicians are enacting, what makes that legislation valid when it can be seen that they are supporting war crimes by their support for this foreign state? So you should ask them, let's talk about this. Let's talk about your support for war crimes of Israel, your support for an open breach of the Fourth Geneva Convention before we even discuss whether the legislation you're trying to inflict on us is valid. You know, who are you people? How come you can write all this stuff down on paper and people die and we're not allowed to do anything about it? Because of what? You know, it's ridiculous. You know, the people have got to grow a backbone and realise that we've got a cacistocracy, the world's worst people, the most criminal class ever conceived on this earth, have manoeuvred themselves into positions of political power on this earth, and the result, Exhibit A, the earth. Have a look at the place. Death, war, mayhem, starvation, bloodshed. That's all we've got.
Yeah, very alarming. Too many people on high levels that are, either committed with Zionism or Israel over America, or the Council on Foreign Relations over America.
And you know what? I will say this, and Tony, you can probably back me if you will, but being in L.A. and in Hollywood, saying any criticism whatsoever of anything Israel or anything that might involve, certain sort of people, you get a instant response of, well, you're an anti-Semite, you're a racist. How dare you not support Israel? You get it from the Democrats, you get it from Republicans, and why is that? Why is that narrative still there? How come we cannot have an adult conversation about the sovereign country of Israel? How come they can't take care of themselves, and how come you get the hammer on you when you talk about these issues?
Well, because they control everything. They control the media. They control what's going on. I mean, the situation in Europe is being run by these people, the overrunning of Europe with migrants. This is the Kalergi Plan, written in 1928. Gaddafi said if you take out Libya, Europe will be overrun with migrants within 5 years. I mean, the whole thing's been contrived. This whole war against East and West, the Christians and the Muslims destroy each other, and that's the way it goes. And you've got this one race sitting above the rest, which aren't even the true Jews. I mean, these aren't even the Jews of Israel that are in Israel at the moment. And it's a really complicated story, but, it's difficult to get into, probably even in Hollywood here, and I don't want to get you guys in trouble, so I won't go into it too much, but people can go to thecrowhouse.com and they can read my thoughts on what I think about the whole Jewish issue.
Right.
And I don't hate the Jews, and my problem isn't with the Jewish people. My problem is with government, all governments, and the government of Israel is utterly corrupt. I mean, just look at it.
They're Zionists, which I think is another form of neocons, Zionism. It's similar.
We give all these labels to these things so we can blame the neocons or the Zionists or the Vatican or this or that. It's a cacistocracy. They're all criminals. They're all pedophiles. They're all compromised. They're a criminal class, regardless of their different faiths or beliefs or nationalities or ethnicities. It's just this criminal class, and they all support each other.
Wow. Well, that's what it is, Tony.
Yeah.
See,
That's pretty amazing. I mean,
we and by the way, Max is actually, and correct me if I'm wrong, you snuck into Israel through tunnel.
We snuck into Gaza. Into Gaza Strip through tunnels,
Because you can't just drive there or take a tour bus.
No, it's under siege.
I don't think people here understand what Gaza is, number one. Then number two, I don't think they understand that it is a strip of land, or a city rather, that you're not permitted in or out.
Yeah, that's it. It's got a wall around it. It's got like a 30, 40-foot wall around it. And
it's an apartheid.
And it's got a naval ships off the shore, so you can't go out fishing. You can't leave. You're just there. And there's one way in, one way, or two ways in, two ways out. They're all closed down and guarded. So we snuck in through a tunnel underground, 50 metres underground. Little tunnel we had to crawl through. Took about an hour and a quarter to get through. Came out with, torn up knees and stuff.
Wow.
But we got in there. We spent 10 days in there. We got interrogated by Hamas before we left and all sorts of stuff. So it was interesting. But I saw the way the people live, and they're beautiful people, and they're not terrorists. They're just held in there. and they're used as a political football. You know, Israel can just go in there and do it at once. Hamas sends a few, skyrockets over the wall now and then to give Israel the excuse to get more funding. And Israel basically uses Gaza as a weapons testing facility to go and test all its new weapons. It uses West Bank to test crowd control and all that. A lot of police go over there to train to how to test crowd control and all that. Just going to whip up a little bit of fuss. The Palestinians are riot. We can go in and do what we want to them. That's what they do, and it provides an excuse for Israel to get the funding that it needs.
Sure, and now my understanding of Hamas is it was created by the Mossad.
It was created by Israel
to fight the PLO in Arafat.
Exactly.
Now, my other understanding, looking deeper into it, it could be said that there's Mossad controlling Hamas at the very top.
I would suggest that is exactly the case. There's no reason for these little rockets to be sent over into Tel Aviv. They don't even hit Tel Aviv. They don't ever kill anybody.
And who benefits from it?
Who benefits? Israel benefits from it. And the people of Gaza are the ones who suffer. They're held under the thumb of Hamas as much as they're held under the thumb of Israel. It's a one force.
And you have basically you have the neighbors of Egypt and Jordan, and do they not get involved in what's happening in Palestine? Is that something they stay out? I would imagine if something was happening in California that instead of D.C. taking care of the problem, it would affect Arizona, Utah, and Nevada, and they would want to stop whatever's happening here in California. How come we don't really see that in Egypt?
Well,
Egypt
is almost joined with the hip with Israel at the moment. We saw the Arab Spring there, where they overthrew Mubarak and then
from the Muslim Brotherhood, created by
Mossad,
MI5,
the whole lot.
right?
So they went in there, cooked up this whole Muslim Brotherhood, this whole faction, and sent him into Libya to overthrow Gaddafi, then moved him into Syria. It's all the same people, all funded by the Clinton Foundation and DynCorp. The administration controlling Egypt at the moment is completely sympathetic to Israel. And the same with Jordan. I mean, there's a lot going on with Jordan. They kind of want to help. There's a lot of Palestinian refugees in Jordan. But all of the countries in the region, I mean, if they overstep the mark and break any Israeli rules, Israel can just go in and do what it wants because it's Israel. It'll get American backing. They'll cook up something about Jordan's done this or done, oh my God, the King of Jordan's gassing his people. We'll hear whatever, And then they'll just go and it'll be military action. They'll take it over. But they've got plans for Jordan. They want to extend Jordan, turn it into Greater Jordan, and they want to push all the Arabs in there.
Interesting.
This is according to the Greater Israel plan. If you look at Oded Yinan's plan for Greater Israel, the plan is to extend Jordan, push all the Muslims into Jordan.
Extend Jordan from what land will they take?
Well, Israel wants to take over all the land from the Nile to the Euphrates, basically.
Oh, wow.
So right across the top of Saudi Arabia, right through Lebanon, Libya, Syria. Or not Libya, but Syria. This is all part of Greater Israel. And then they want to extend Jordan and so to encompass Mecca.
Right.
So the Arabs have got Mecca. If you look at the map for Greater Israel, it's all there. And you look at all the countries that are being destabilized, they're all part of the map for Greater Israel.
And they have and Blake and ourselves, we did some research on this the other day. And I had a question. I said, how much financial aid does the United States give Israel? And believe it or not, people could look this up, the United States gave a whopping $138 billion to the Israeli military last year alone.
I think to correct you, I think that was after 9/11, and it was $38 billion, I believe, last year. Or recently.
Oh, excuse me. Okay, I stand corrected.
After that,
it was okay. Not
the height of the war on terror. They did get a big chunk of change.
But so last year was $38 billion.
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay, so still that's quite significant.
Even before that, it works out to about $7 million a day. But like I said, I think that's up to about $11 million a day at the moment because Obama increased it. So this is just
it's incredible.
What it gets, And why we can't do anything about this is, like you were saying before, is because so many people are compromised in this system.
Yeah, let's talk about that. I mean, let's talk about some people in our own industry that you think would be a voice of reason. And Tony and I, and Blake, we try to do our best to get this message out. We're not left or right. We try to be as accurate and fair as possible. But some people you just see going down a rabbit hole, a spiral, and now it's becoming their shilling for the president.
Yeah, well, what happens, the easiest way to control people is to compromise them sexually, and that's what happens, unfortunately, in most of our societies. People are sexually compromised. The world is run by an elite group of pedophiles, basically, really, when you want to get down to it. And if I want to control you, all I've got to really do is take you out and get you drunk and film you having sex with a young prostitute that you think is 18 who's really 14. And I've just got you on a statutory rape charge anytime I want to. I've got you on video, and now you're going to do anything I tell you to do. And when you're the head of a country, I say that I've got this video of you having sex with a 14-year-old girl. I bet it's still a 14-year-old boy. And you didn't know that they were that young. And now what you've got to do is you've got to compromise 8 generals and 8 political leaders, and you've got to compromise the head of the police department. You've got to compromise the head of the education department. Invite them to a party. Get them drunk. We'll bring in some prostitutes, and they'll think they're 18, but really they're 14. And then they're all compromised. And that's what they do. These are called brownstone operations. They set them up with cameras. The CIA's actually got a kit you can get with 12 cameras, low-light cameras. You can put them in a hotel. You can bring someone in. You can compromise them sexually. When you've got a society such as America, which will show someone having their face ripped off and their lungs ripped out on TV, but you can't show a pair of breasts or say the F word, you know, you've got a country which is that repressed and out of touch with their own sexuality. It's really easy to lure these people into the back room with a prostitute when they're drunk one night, and she's 4 or 5 years younger than what the people think they are. And this is how it's done. And this is, you'll be surprised at how deep this goes.
I'm sure,
through the education system, through the legal system, police officers, the head of your local school, your local church. And this is why when you try to expose this pedophile activity, it's so hard to get a groundswell of populace behind you, because so many people that you want to get on your side are already compromised. And this is how it's done. Now, it's unfortunate, but that's how it's done. This is what Jerry Epstein's Island was all about.
Sure.
This is what they do over there. And all of these people who get into positions of power, you'll find that 90% of them are compromised. If they're not, they don't ever get there. So what's going on with Trump? What have they really got on Trump? How did he get to that position anyway?
Yeah, usually you don't make it to high levels of power unless they can bring you down and got some major dirt on you.
Like Bill Clinton.
Well, a friend of mine, actually, he tours with a very, very famous musician. I won't say who they are, but they go to the Middle East a lot. And he was saying that they met the Sheikh of Bahrain, and they invited them to a party. It was on a huge yacht.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Well, he said, you'd be surprised what goes on that yacht. There's a lot of young women and other, possibly, he goes, there's executive. He goes, well, I saw executives, white, from America, from different countries. So, and he saw this firsthand.
Yeah. All you have to do is get them on film.
Yeah.
Once you've got someone on film having sex with an underage person, and when you can repress people's sexuality enough and you get them in that position, they've had a few drinks and they think she's 18 or whatever,
Sure.
it's so easy to get people like that.
And
And they've got dirt on everybody. They've got dirt on every government. You think about it, every government's done something wrong at some stage. Like what we were talking about earlier, what they're doing with Turkey. The new film that's coming out about the Armenian massacre.
With Christian Bale, it's called. It's a new film because it's called The Promise.
Yeah, and it's fantastic that this information is coming out about the Armenian massacre. But you look at the timing of it. They want to destroy Turkey. Why? Because of what Turkey's role has been in the Syria operation. Because when the first sarin gas happened in Syria, the first gas attack back in 2013, that was actually staged by the Turkish government. But Obama had all made this deal. You know, you go in there because you saw Erdogan was the on Time magazine. He was the man of the year on Time magazine in 2013.
The Turkish president.
You knew something's going to go on with this guy. They're going to do something with Turkey. He's suddenly the man of the year, and now he's posturing against Syria to go in and save the people in Syria. Goes into Syria. Suddenly there's a gas attack, which has crossed the red line. Obama's going to come in and support him, but Obama goes, actually, I'm doing other things at the moment. And he left him and hung them out to dry. So Turkey went, well, hang on. We're sick of being screwed over by the United States and the West, so we're going to improve ties with Russia. So now we've seen Turkey getting totally destroyed and vilified. So the timing of this film coming out is perfect to destroy Turkey's reputation. I mean, they could do it with any government. If they wanted to, they could make a film about the Japanese government, how they ignored the people in Fukushima. They can make a film about the Australian government, what they did to the Aboriginals. They can make a film about the New Zealand government, about any government you can think of, the French government. Imagine the films they can make about the United States government.
Oh, a lot.
They've got dirt on everyone that they need to have, and it's the timing of these releases. And, you know, it's great that the information's coming out, but what will it do to Turkey's reputation, and why are they doing that at that particular time?
Sure.
It's all the world is a stage.
It's no coincidence. And by the way, down the pipeline, they're getting ready to push all these new TV shows showing Syria as the bad people, and we got to go in there. I've already seen some behind the scenes, so expect that, to be coming down the pipeline. But let me just say that we've covered Pizzagate extensively on this telecast here and broadcast, and I will never apologize for doing that, for being a voice for the voiceless. And unlike others, I will never blame the victims or the audience for forcing me to cover Pizzagate or JonBenet Ramsey case that we did a few reports ago, or the Franklin cover-up. And somebody else in our industry did that and made it, and then went on air to blame the audience. And I thought, you know what? How dare you? How dare you blame the audience for forcing you to cover a story? And I think it's a cop-out, and I think it highlights what a fraud you are, what a fake you are, and I think everyone knows who I'm talking about. And just a complete, just unauthentic, no integrity person, and that just really pissed me off. Just to close my final feelings on that, that's how I feel, because it's really up to people like us at this table here to hold the torch for the true independent media, I think.
Well, yeah. Look, the child trafficking and pedophilia is rampant around the world, and that is the cornerstone of the whole thing. You know, it was the focus on
Right.
the pizza store, which was a distraction and a psyop. I called that. I tried to tell people
Sure.
to watch the distraction. Don't focus on the pizza store. Look at what's really revealed by these emails, and look at what's really going on with this human trafficking around the world. It's not just this pizza store in Washington. It's global.
It
So,
is global.
and it is huge, and it does need to have light brought to it. So yeah, good on you.
Absolutely.
Hopefully, they'll release some more information. I'm still waiting for WikiLeaks to, what's going on? They had
I
so
was gonna
much good
say,
stuff.
But
and
didn't Trump's CIA director just call out WikiLeaks?
I don't. Yeah.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
Okay.
Oh,
Seems
that's
right. Yeah, I do remember that.
They seem to be turning on a lot of people now. That's interesting.
Yeah,
you
I
said
saw that, and I'm like, wait a minute, I thought he just 6 months ago said that was the best thing, better than sliced bread.
Might have been General Flynn. I know he wanted to go after him, but of course they tossed him and his son. His son was supposed to be part of the administration too. Yeah, both of them are gone. They were heavy on Pizzagate.
Max, we got a few minutes with you left. I want to talk about your radio show real quick, and some of the great things that you got planned up. I know you're in Calgary and Portland, and then Europe, and so let's talk about that. How's the radio show going?
Yeah, it's good. I'm
building.
gradually getting it done. Like while I'm on the road, it's hard to do while I'm on the road. I really want to get home and make some films, but I've got a lot of speaking dates going on. If anyone's
Right.
out there in California, I'm in LA now, and I'm doing a gig this weekend up at Big Bear Lake called Regeneration with Benny Wills and Bernard Gunther, and it's going to be a great day. We're going to have music and all sorts of stuff, so do try to come along to that. I'm also speaking at a chemtrail conference in Portland, Oregon on May 7th, and I'm speaking in Calgary, Alberta, Canada on May 14th. That's going to be the only gig I do in Canada. I've never been to Canada before. Maybe the first and last gig I do in Canada. Who knows, you know. I'm going to have a lot of time off after this tour. After that, I'm going to England to speak at AV8 with Ian Crane on May 20. Then I speak in Swindon, England on May 28th. Then I got to go to Netherlands to do some stuff there. Then I believe I got to go to Lebanon, speak at the Palestinian University in Lebanon. Then I got a bunch of stuff to do in Europe, and then I end up in the Open Mind Conference in Copenhagen in September. And then I get back to Peru for some time off, and then I've got a month at Cambo workshops again in November in Hawaii.
Wow.
Cambo jungle medicine, frog venom, great stuff.
Sounds
very,
great.
very healing, very cleansing.
And your podcast that's once a week, correct?
It's once a week, Surviving the Matrix. You'll find everything about me on thecrowhouse.com, and you'll get you'll get all the podcasts
And
there
you're
and all
very
the interviews. And
you're very active on Facebook too. You
well, I try not to be. I mean, I do log on once or twice a day and have a few comments, but I post my show there once a week.
yeah.
I wanted to close all my Facebook accounts down. I've been waiting for someone to build me some forums, but I'm still waiting. So
Well,
I don't know.
contact you.
Yeah.
Well, in closing, thank you for finally. We talked about this for a long time of you coming on here, and I personally I can tell you what and I told you off air, but I'll repeat it here is what attracted me to your show is you have a very unusual style to your show. You have a great flow as a broadcaster. You really add theater to the mind, and when it's posted on YouTube, you actually add an animation to the show as well, and I think that really captured something for me where I said, I got to know who this person is. And then I listened to it, actually, what you were saying, and the message really resonated with me about the political theater, that life is a show. So it's a great honor to have you on this broadcast here at Truth Be Told. So I want to thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thanks for asking me on.
Thank you, Max. Appreciate it.
Well, Tony, what can I say?
It was a great show.
Dreams do come true.
You went to Disney, and we
I
have
went
Max
to
on.
Disneyland, and then, I'm a dream weaver.
Don't make me start singing.
All right.
All right, well, it's time to say goodbye, so get it. Time to say goodbye to all of you. Anyway, so go to truthbetoldwebtv.com and check out our website there, upcoming guest, and go to our YouTube channel, Truth Be Told TV, iTunes, iHeart, Stitcher, Spreaker, all those good stuff. So we want to thank you for joining every week right here on Truth Be Told.